What's up, y'all? It's Deadbolt from Deadbolt Customs. I just want to go over with y'all about HID lights, and if you are converting over into a HD light from your regular bulbs on your motorcycle. Currently, I got a CBR 1000, and the issue that I ran into, and that a lot of other people run into, is the old bulb having one of these in it. What this does is it creates a spacing between the light bulb and the actual hanger that connects or that holds the light bulb in. If you're not sure how to get your spacing, because this is the new one here, as you can see, like new one versus old, there's a huge difference in the spacing in the two. The lip on here, that's all that is holding, that the light bulb will be holding on to, which is probably only a 2/8 of an inch. And then you have this piece here with these little prongs that stick out, which is probably like a 1/4 inch difference. So when you're trying to install this, you're just gonna get this wobbling around, this rattling. Sometimes it's gonna come out. I'm gonna show you how to get rid of that for a cheap fix. All you need is a saw, some sort of hacksaw, whatever, and the fitting. It could be angle fitting, or it could be straight fitting, as long as it fits over 3/4 PVC pipe. Okay, this is regular PVC pipe. The piece that we're using is actually just a piece that fits on top of the 3/4. All we're gonna do is cut the edges off of here at 1/4 of an inch, and we're gonna use that for our spacer. Another alternative is actually cutting these up, but if for any reason you want to go back to this and get rid of the HID lights, you won't be able to, because you cut this up already. So, and these probably will run you probably $30 for a set. I don't know, MOE prices be off the chart. I mean EOM. But we'll get started. I'm gonna mark this off at a 1/4 on each side, and I'm gonna use my saw to cut it. We'll use it for our spacers. I'll get back to you in a second. Now I got my lines drawn. I just pretty much eyeballed it, and I'm gonna cut it. But if you want to be more precise, you can go ahead and you can get a ruler out and mark it for what it is. 1/4 inch is all you need for the spacing. I got the PVC pipe going in right just at the 1/4 inch, and I got my little cutting jig here. If you don't have any, it's best if you have something to hold it down. But what you want is you want a flat edge cut where you'll be able to get a nice seal out of this thing when it comes time to. So we have that. I won't be able to cut and record at the same time, but I'll pause and I'll get back to you once I get it cut. Alright, I got it cut loose. It worked out just how I thought it would. You can sand this down or whatever to make it as flat as you need it to be, but all you do is pop it out after that. Sand up the edges and you got yourself a spacer. If you look at the difference here, you got that edge there, then you got this edge. That's all the spacing you need. Then once it comes to the light, you don't want the inside of the light bulb. You want it on the outside. The inside should be where the rubber grommet is, which the lights that I got are pretty cheap, so they don't have a rubber grommet, but I will put one in there myself. But just to show you what the fit is, so sometimes you have this little nipple here. If you run into problems with that later on, you can cut it out, but I've already done the measurements on mine and it works, checks out. So that's the dimension there. Perfect fit. This is the exact spacing that you need for your hanger to clip onto this and secure this light in that socket the way it should be. Now this is, like I said, this is a cheap alternative. Make sure also you don't touch the bulb because it'll make the bulb blow out. The oils from your hand gets on the bulb and it's good for nothing after that. So we'll cut out the second one and then we'll head out to the bike. Alright, pretty sunny day out here. So what you're looking at is the socket. This is the actual area I was talking about that the spacer fits down into. So you got the old spacer. It's got a little notch here. The notch goes into that slot. Let's see if I can get in here. So the notch goes down into that slot, and then the hanger comes down on top of that slot and locks into place. So all we're doing here is we've taken this out because we're going to replace it with the HID. We're using the rings here to compensate for the space in between the light bulb and the pin and the hanger. So here, what I was talking about, how you can shave it down. Sometimes you won't get it exactly even here, and in this case I had like a slight over, slightly bigger than on one side than the other side. So all you do is just get you a nice little piece of sandpaper and just go back and forth until you get it to whatever height you want it at. So, and this is another reason why we went 1/4 as well, because 1/4 is a very snug fit, but if you want an exact match, it'll be a little less, a little thinner than 1/4. It's just a little elbow grease. Don't take a whole lot. This is all like something you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's. One of these bags of knuckles is just like I don't know, I paid maybe $6 for this bag. Quick fix. I had some laying around the house already from some previous projects. So, and there you go. That's ready to go, guys. So really all that's going to do is just sit. And it's going to take the space of that hole right there. Jesus, I can't even get a good view. It's almost impossible to get a clean view with the handlebars and stuff still on this thing. But it fits down in there perfectly. And that's all you need it for. Just so the light could rest up against it. So now that we got that in place, you can slide your light in. And remember what I said before, try not to touch the bulb, because any kind of debris that you get on the bulb is gonna take away from the life of the bulb. So I'll show you on the other side why I had to go this route in order to get the spacer. Let's see how I got this. How since I got it in there, I have no wiggle at all, and I'm pushing on it. There's like no wiggle. That's exactly what you want. Now, like I said before, the original has a grommet around it. You guys could use double-sided sticky tape. You can do an O-ring if you got an O-ring, some sort of O-ring that you can place around here or in between here to create a gasket to where water or condensation doesn't get inside your light. But it's in there and it's not moving. That's her. I'm wiggling it in the back and there's barely any wiggle, you know. So we'll go ahead and see if we can get a gasket made for this. But really, I mean, it's really not necessary. It's just precaution. That's all it is, just precaution. And my whole reason behind this was the person who had this bike before me decided they wanted to do HID on one side only, and then leave factory on the other side. So there was like a deficiency going on there with my lights not being as bright as I need them to be when I turn my brights on. It was like I was like the regular headlight was as bright as the thing was gonna get. So I got tired enough to do something about it. And then also all of this bundle of wires that they call themselves setting up. Horrible thing. But one side down, and then I'll do the other side, and then I'll come back and we'll go over a quick review of what we just did. Alright, same difference on this side, guys. We got a hole there. We will create a rubber grommet to go and sit up against this, but we got our spacer. There's a spacer down in there. And then we have our light. Now with this light, yeah, I lost my chain of thought. It's alright though. And there you have it. You got that one in. So without that spacer, the light will not hold in. This hanger here will not be pressurized at all to hold the bulb in the way it's holding in now. So it's right where it should be. And now we could just jump into the wiring. Right now, first I gotta get rid of this old box here, this old dinosaur of a box. I have the new ones here, which are a pretty decent size compared to the other one. Pretty decent. And then we'll tuck them away. We'll make them look real nice. Zip tie everything, and hopefully it'll cut back on my visibility at the low visibility that I'm experiencing at night. Alright, so I got the old power regulator out, and this is the size of it for just one light. This was only connected and powering one light. This is only going to power one light. Look at the size difference. That's probably why he only went with one, because he can only fit one regulator box. Well, so we got the new. And also, this little trusty dandy kit came with a nice little mounting kit, which I'm not sure if I'm going to use. We'll see once I get into it. But since I got it out, I have so much more space down here, it's ridiculous. I got more space than I know what to do with. After the connectors, I taped it up. This is just to make sure that they don't come loose. They have pretty good grommets inside of them to protect from weather. Also, another thing I noticed about this kit is that the connector didn't fit exactly for the connector on this bike, in which it was saying that it was a complete match, but it really wasn't. So all I did was took out the connector box, heat shrank the ends of the terminals, and I placed them inside of the connector itself, and that's just as good as any. The overall is that it's going to be a clean wire up at the end, really clean wire up, really small, so it should be able to hide away pretty nice. There's a lot of space under there for wires to be hid behind here. The boxes can go underneath here like he had the other converter, and the rest of the wires could be placed inside here in the bottom portion of this fairing. So I'll log back in with you guys in a little bit. I'll show you exactly what it looks like in the daylight. I should have had a before picture, but I don't. So this is the light. That's the high beam. Really nice. I don't even have the bike running, but really nice blue color. I could tell right now that it's brighter because I can't look directly into the light. Not that I would want to, but before I could look at the light bulb while it was on and it did nothing to my eyes. So I'm a little impressed with that alone, but we'll come back in a second. Alright guys, got her tucked in really nice and wire there. Got the conversion boxes zip tied together and got them going around the bracket. Also, if you're going to mount your converter boxes underneath, make sure your zip tie goes through at least one of the holes on the actual mount so that it's just more secure. If you just wrap it around the box, chances are the rattling from your riding is going to cause the zip tie to slip off or cause your converter boxes to slip out. So just make sure that you secure that real good so it doesn't fall down and end up in your wheel, because that's a whole nother ball of spaghetti right there. I'll show you what the lights look like. Well, that's just one there. It's like super bright, super bright. And these, from what I read, are supposed to be flicker free. You know how you have those lights that kind of pulsate? Well, this is supposed to be, these are supposed to be lights that are non-flickering. But we'll see. We'll see once I get the once I look at the footage. But there you go, guys. She's really, really nice. Cleanly tucked away wires. The more wires that you have out of the way, the less